Whoa! It is a cruel and unforgiving wasteland that we walk, my friends. It has been 9,482 days since the last Nintendo Direct. Okay, maybe not quite that long, but this has been the longest Nintendo Direct drought in history. Okay, well, technically there was a longer period between directs. I think it was 2016, either 2015 or 2016, but that was the Wii U days, and that was when Nintendo and the Wii U just weren't doing very well, and they were at the end of the life cycle. They were focusing on Switch. They didn't really have anything to show, so I kind of count that as something of an exception. So if you don't count that, this is the longest one ever. Last year was the longest one. That broke the record, and now Nintendo seems to be keen on breaking the record yet again. And stop me if you've heard this one before, but I was not originally going to make a video on it. Mostly because I made this video last year. Last year when there was a direct drought. You know, I talked about how long it had been, how it'd been the longest time ever, wondered where the direct was, just kind of discussed the situation. So I was not going to do it again. I've been holding out for, just for months now. But I don't know, people keep asking me about it. And similarly to my rumors video that I did a while back, if Nintendo gets me feeling desperate enough, they push me far enough into that corner, then okay, I will make a video about it. If it's something that the Nintendo community is feeling strongly enough about, then I say it's worth talking about, because there are a good number of things to talk about here. As you might know, regular Nintendo Directs usually take place in the first half of the month. They seem to follow more or less of a pattern the first half of the month, and also, you know, on like a, a Wednesday or a Thursday? Or is it Tuesday or Wednesday? I can't remember. One of those two. So January rolls around, and of course we're all absolutely, you know, super duper excited for the next Direct. So then the second week of January rolls around, and, you know, they announce the Directs 1 or 2 days ahead of time, so by like Tuesday, Wednesday, we're like, okay, it looks like it's not happening in January if they follow the same pattern. Okay, so I guess we gotta wait a month. It's tough, but okay, we'll do it. So then we wait till February. Then the first week goes by, and then the second week, and then it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday time, and we're all waiting. And, oh, okay, I mean, they did a February one last year, but I guess not this year. I guess it'll be a March Direct. Okay, fine. And they almost always announce them at like 7 in the morning. I feel like for the major, at least from what I remember, like for the major Directs. So then when that time rolls around and I wake up and I check and I scroll and it's past 7 a.m. and it's like Wednesday and there's still no word, it's like, okay, I guess we're waiting another 3 or 4 weeks. Okay, let's do it. But you want to know what finally pushed me to do this video? What finally pushed me over the edge? It was yesterday, at least at the time of this recording. Yesterday was Wednesday, and I felt like that was, if Nintendo was going to announce a Direct for this month, yesterday would have been the day. So when I scrolled through my feed at 7 in the morning and it wasn't there, the drought became real. The drought situation became painfully real. Now, that is absolutely not to say that there couldn't still be a Direct for this month. Nintendo sticks to a pattern, but they don't have to stick to that pattern. Now, all we have, you know, I've talked about this for all their different stuff. Just because we observe a pattern doesn't mean that's something that's going to be that way forever. They could announce a Direct on a Sunday at 5 p.m. and have it on a Monday night. You know what I mean? Like, they could do anything they want. So at this point, there's no guarantee that March is out. They could, you know, anything could happen. There are currently rumors going around about a Direct on the 26th of March, and honestly, like, it could be true, but mostly just because any given week could be true at this point. It's been so long that any guess is eventually going to be true. But it doesn't seem to be very credible. You trace it back to the source, and it's just kind of a guy saying it with no real sources or no real credentials or anything. It's just a guy saying, hey, I heard this. So I'm not really I mean, there have been rumors about a Direct for every single week this year so far. I'm pretty sure there have been strong rumors about a Direct. So I'm not holding my breath for one on the 26th. It would be nice, but we'll see. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know if this is true for you or not, but for me personally, the longer I go without a Direct, the crazier my thoughts start to get. The more desperate I become, the more my brain pokes and prods at this whole situation like a wound that just won't close because you keep messing with it. Was that analogy too graphic? Sorry if it was. I don't mean like a big wound or anything. I mean like you get a scratch with a Band-Aid on it. Was that too far? I don't know. I just gotta change the subject. Point is, though, the further we go into any given month, the more I'm sure that we're not going to get a direct for that month. And now, the more months that pass, the more I'm like, what if we don't get one until E3? I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. You're just not being patient. You just got to wait. There will be one in March, or there'll be one in April. It'll be weirdly late, but there will be one. But what if there isn't one? What if there is, you know what I'm saying? Like my thoughts just turn it over again and again and again. And the further we go, what if we get into April? What if we get into that second week of April and I wake up and it's 7 in the morning and there isn't one? And what if we don't get one until E3? It drives me nuts. Drives me crazy, this stuff. They have to know what they're doing to us, right? I think I went over this last year, but they have to know, right? They have to know just how crazily desperate we all are for information on new games. They have to understand how much power they have over us. They have to understand just how desperate we are. How the whole world, there's this tension, this rising tension, just like a giant bubble ready to burst, and we can't handle it anymore. I mean, maybe they don't know. I frequently feel like Nintendo doesn't quite appreciate some of the stuff that they have and some of the, I don't know, the effects that they have on people or the loyalty that some people have. You know, they have a tendency to not quite see that stuff, especially if it's stuff, you know, if it's online, if it's people talking online. They've got kind of a hit or miss track record with how much they follow that stuff. Here's the thing though, but if they do know, which they probably do, if they do know, then we come to the big question, what's the deal? Why do they keep pushing it further and further and further? If they know that we're going so crazy about this, why do they insist on keeping us going crazy? Now, there's every chance in the world that there was indeed going to be a direct, this month in March, and it got delayed a little bit because of this whole virus scare. It's extremely possible. And a lot of people say, well, it's just a pre-recorded presentation. Well, what does that matter? But it's like, there's a lot of things that can delay something. Was it 1 or 2 years ago? There was like the tsunami, and so they delayed because of that. They don't have to delay, but they kind of do out of respect and especially the virus thing has been affecting people all over the world. It can affect any number of things and any environments, any companies. So that would make sense. And they just, didn't feel the need to address it. Because before, they announced the direct and then it got delayed. In this case, they hadn't even announced it yet. So maybe they're just kind of holding on to it for a bit. I don't know. Another much more disturbing possibility, and this ties in with the whole me just running my thoughts over and over and driving myself crazy over this. This ties in with that pretty well. What if they just don't have any games to show? That's a nightmarish thought. After so long, after over half a year without a direct, the idea that they just still don't really have anything to show, pretty disturbing. That would make for a pretty rough year or two of the Switch's life, so we can definitely hope that that's not the case. Because right now, this year is Animal Crossing. That's like it, and a couple other smaller things. And those things are fine too, but people are always looking to the big first-party Nintendo games. And when there's so little coming out this year, Animal Crossing is really close. And once that hits, okay, but what's next? Why? A lot of people are saying maybe they're waiting for Animal Crossing to launch because they don't want to take attention away from it. That could be true. I really don't buy it though. We have often, very, very often had games release a little bit after a Nintendo Direct. And Nintendo takes that opportunity to give the game one last little shout out, to remind us one more time about it. So I don't know. I haven't felt in the past that Nintendo has not wanted to announce other games close to a game because the hype is already there. I don't know. I just don't really buy that. Could be true. Maybe not. But yeah, it is only natural to wonder what else might come out this year or even, get some games rolling for next year. There's just so much we don't know. And this is something I will say again and again. I will put these words on my tombstone, and no matter what, no matter how many times I say them, people will always say on Twitter in the comments, they'll say, just be patient. Nintendo still has so much of the year to go to announce stuff. But I've said it before and I will say it again. There is almost always a very hefty gap between reveal and release for major Nintendo games. I mean, we are usually talking at least 6 to 9 months minimum. That's the minimum, and often much more than that. Even somewhat smaller games will just go ages between reveal and release. That's how Nintendo is. People will say, oh, Nintendo likes to play the cards close to the chest. They don't like to reveal stuff until it's close to coming out. That's just not true. I don't know why people keep saying it. Nintendo says it. It's not true. There have been a very small number of exceptions, and they're usually for, like, smaller games. You know, like, okay, Super Mario Party was announced at E3 in 2018 and then came out, like, a few months later. Okay, but that's Mario Party. It's a much smaller series. It's a lot more inevitable, you know what I mean? More recently, in the February Direct last year, they announced Super Mario Maker 2, and that came out at the end of June. Okay, that was a decently small. It's like a 4-month gap there. But that was a rare exception. And then Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, that was announced at E3 and came out a few months later, but again, that was Ubisoft. That was not Nintendo. Nintendo usually takes forever, even when it's like a new Yoshi game. 2 years later, here's the Yoshi game. Kirby, gonna take over a year to get the Kirby. Animal Crossing was looking to be a year or more and then got delayed to being a year and a half. Luigi's Mansion, over a year. Smash was revealed in, I think it was March and released in November. And that big meaty gap right there is about the best we can hope for. So that's what I'm saying. Again and again, I say this, like, if Nintendo is gonna release any other major games this year, then they're running out of time to reveal them if they're gonna stick to that same schedule. Like, late summer, fall is like the absolute earliest we can expect anything that they, you know, any major thing that they announce to actually come out. So that's why we're so desperate. When people say, well, you just wait, there's so much year left to go. Like, no, there isn't. There's gonna be a certain amount of time between reveal and release. And I say it, and we'll still get those comments, and that's okay, that's all right. But basically, if they have a big holiday game for this year, and it's not Breath of the Wild 2, this is their chance to reveal it. This is just about if you follow their track record, this is basically the last chance to reveal it, and that's why we're getting so desperate for a Nintendo Direct to come soon enough that the game will actually come this year, and even then it's probably gonna be late in the year. That's why we're crazy. That's why I'm crazy. And because of this whole thing where we don't even know what else is coming this year between Animal Crossing and a few other things, the biggest problem there is that now expectations are through the roof. It does not matter how much we tell ourselves never expect anything, people are going to. Even in September, expectations were really high because we had little idea what was coming out in 2020, and now it's half a year later. Expectations are through the roof. All the rumors are about Paper Mario and Metroid and Pikmin and all these crazy things. Like, people are going nuts here. We still have a whole other Fighter's Pass to go through. Like, that sky-high expectation thing, it's just the reality. And that's the problem with making us wait for so long. By stringing us along like this, is that's what's gonna happen. Anything less than a giant Nintendo Direct is going to feel very underwhelming and cause a lot of hurt feelings. You know, I try not to get my hopes up too high, but as far as, like, I don't know, like, something's gotta come out. There's gotta be some sort of games. So, like, even for me, there is some sort of expectation. Even if I don't get everything that I personally want, I expect there to be something. And a lot of other people are expecting a lot of stuff too. And that's not a good place for Nintendo to be in if they want to generate nothing but happiness and hype for their games. If we get a Direct, you know, in March, April, whatever, and it's like a couple small titles and ports and like Mario Golf, then there's gonna be riots. There's gonna be riots in the streets if it's just Mario Golf and that's it. And that's what we waited 6 months for. So, I don't know. One final question to ask ourselves / completely obsess over: is this gonna be the new norm? Like is a 6-month gap between the end of the year and the beginning of the next year? Is that the new normal? Because the Switch signaled pretty much a new era of Nintendo. 2017 was its launch year, so they came out swinging in January, and so we kind of set up expectations based on that. We figured this was going to be a quarterly thing for Directs from now on, but then 2018 threw off that format really slightly by having one of the Directs be a mini Direct, but okay, it still was pretty much quarterly. But then last year and this year, same thing. We had one in like September, and then nothing for like half a year after that. So I don't know, after we see it twice, can we expect this to be normal? Should we not expect quarterly Directs? Like, no, Directs are a 3-year thing now. I really don't know. But there I go again, trying to find a pattern, when with Nintendo, there is no pattern. Or if you can see a pattern, that does not mean that that pattern will continue. Maybe next year we'll have 10 Directs, huh? Yeah, I think that's possible. Maybe next year there will be a Direct every single month, or there will be 0 directs. Who knows? All we can do for right now is keep waiting. Keep walking through this dreadful, awful wasteland that we trudge through right now. You know what's funny? Remember the wind noise you heard at the beginning of the video? Well, that's a sound effect, and I added that in post. But like actually, I've been trying to record, and outside it's super duper windy, and it's making the super loud wind noise, almost identical to the one that I put in the video. But I've been like not wanting it to ruin the shots, so I've been pausing and not recording whenever I hear it. So even though I want to use literally that exact sound effect, I can't use the real one because that's going to cause issues. So I'm like trying my hardest to avoid it so that I can add in a different identical sound effect later. I just thought that was a little funny. Anyway, thank you for watching. I love you, and keep them fingies crossed, man. Keep them fingies firmly crossed. We'll get through this. Stay strong.